Hello, everyone. I'm Lilac Frankel, and I'm the Director of Product Innovation at CAT. And I'm thrilled to welcome you to our final session of the day, a fireside chat with our CEO and Plan Manager, Derek Dobson. We received a lot of questions for Derek, so thank you for everyone for submitting those in advance. Some key themes have emerged, and we've combined those into topics that we'll be discussing today. And so without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome our CEO and Plan Manager, Derek Dobson. Welcome, Derek.
Thanks very much, Lilac, and a warm welcome to all our members, employers, union leaders, regulators, and others who've joined us today. I understand that 2,500 people have registered for this event, so thank you for joining us. I know our great team has already shared some of the highlights for today, so Lilac, why don't we jump right into the themes that our members and employers have been asking us about?
Sounds good, Derek. As you mentioned, we heard about the plan's performance, funded status, and investment strategy. And so just before I start, I believe the audience would like to hear your perspective on it as well, Derek. How do you see the CAT pension plan doing?
In a sentence, we're doing exceptionally well. And what I hope to get out of today's session is for people to take away really three things. They would be benefits are secure, the pension plan is well managed, and number three, you have a very dedicated group of plan governors, pension experts who are all focused on your success. Our members, employers, plan governors, and the 500 plus strong CAT pension plan team are all deeply aligned to our purpose statement, which is to improve retirement income security for Canadians. And we're thankful for your encouragement and support for this important focus. It's remarkable how far we've come in recent years. And when I look into the future, I remain very confident that we will deliver even more value for our members, employers in Canada. To be clear, this is not just a feeling that I have. We regularly test our health against a wide set of potential future scenarios. And it's not just me who has confidence about the plan and our services. I am thrilled that our member and employer surveys show extremely high trust scores. You believe that we have a sustainable model, and you are confident that your pension is secure. And that belief is well-founded. The plan is doing exceptionally well, and our future looks bright.
Thank you, Derek. I'd like to touch on something that you mentioned, which is CAT's purpose, because we have received questions on that. Specifically, why does CAT care so much about pensions for everyone? So let's talk about that. Why is CAT so passionate about pensions for everyone? What does that mean for members, for employers?
Sure. So expanding access to our amazing pension plan is good for members, it's good for employers, and it's good for Canada. As you can tell, I'm very proud to wear my Pensions for Everyone t-shirt across the country and spread the knowledge that better pensions makes for a better Canada. And I'm not alone. I believe we now have over 1,000 plan ambassadors across Canada who have joined our awareness campaign. Recently, there was also some notable leaders who have added their voice to this important goal. For example, the world's largest money manager pointed out the need for better pensions. Closer to home, the former Bank of Canada Governor, Stephen Poloz, wrote an insightful report recommending that all workplaces in Canada should have an efficient and well-run DB, or defined benefit pension plan. It's exactly what we're providing to Canada. When I look out into the future, secure and valuable pensions are essential for our members, our employers, and for Canada. Lilac, do I have a little bit more time to expand on why growing membership is good for other stakeholders?
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. Go ahead.
Great. So I wanted to be really clear with our members and our employers. Everything we do is focused on enhancing benefit security for the longer term. And growing and diversifying our membership base is directly aligned to our fiduciary duty to our members and to the plan. Beyond that, I'm going to cover each stakeholder. So growth is good for members. Growth, or growing plan membership, has accelerated service enhancements like our portals, which we've recently launched, and members' feedback has been very positive there. More importantly, growth has fueled additional reserves that will pay for future benefit enhancements, like inflation protection enhancements. Contributing members and employers will also see more value for every contribution dollar they make with our plan changes that take effect at the end of this year. These outcomes would not have been possible without expanding our plan membership. Secondly, when I look out into the future diversification of membership makes the plan even stronger. In other words, growth protects the plan. And finally, opening access to our amazing pension plan is also the right thing to do. A good workplace pension offers comfort and certainty in a growingly uncertain world. We have the expertise, we have the capacity to serve more members and employers and help them succeed. And finally, numerous studies demonstrate that improving retirement income security benefits members and employers and Canada today. It's a rare win-win-win situation. So CAT's purpose, Pensions for Everyone, is about being part of the long-term solution for Canada.
I love that, Derek, being part of that long-term solution. And 2023 was a big year for defined benefit pensions. As you mentioned, we saw some key leaders advocating for better pensions. We also saw a renewed commitment to DB pensions by large Canadian organizations. And that triggered a lot of discussions within the retirement industry about a DB comeback. But not just there. I'm seeing a lot of comments about that as well. So I'd like to get your take, Derek, on this trend of bringing back DB.
So is DB making a comeback? I'm going to say yes, but let me have a bit of a specificity on that. So first, there's been no workplace pension arrangement that has such a long history and a tried and true record for attracting and retaining employees more than DB pensions. Secondly, study after study shows that Canadians want predictable, inflation-adjusted, lifetime retirement income. That's exactly what DB plans deliver. As you know, Lilac, we have 1 or 2 new organizations joining CAT every single week. So the DB comeback in Canada is real, but it's more coming from plans like ours, who now remove the financial risk from employers. So they can offer modern defined benefit plans at an affordable cost and without the financial risks associated with traditional old single employer DB plans. So working with business and union leaders across Canada, I see a huge demand for modern DB. Case in point, we're just into the first few months of 2024, and we've had another 6,500 members join our pension plan, bringing our total membership to over 100,000 members. This is another great indicator that what we're providing is relevant to today's workforce. To be clear, we're not resting though. We remain willing to continue to innovate in order to meet the evolving needs of more members and more employers. And I am truly thankful to all of our stakeholders who are sharing suggestions on how we can improve and innovate to serve their specific needs. When I look out into the future, I am confident that modern DB will be an essential part of Canada's retirement ecosystem, and many more Canadians will have a better retirement. For me, it's less about the possibility of a traditional old DB comeback and more about the emergence of modern DB, which brings the major benefits to employers and employees.
Derek, I'd like to shift the focus a bit and dig into the employer's perspective. We see employers tapping into holistic financial security as a means for competing for talent. What are you hearing is top of mind for employers?
Yeah, see, so a lot of us can see in many leadership articles and surveys that leaders are very concerned about how to compete in the marathon for talent. I think this is going to be a long-term issue. Attraction retention is still listed as the biggest challenge, and I'll say opportunity for employers of choice. For example, just last week, I was delivering a session to about 100 of Canada's top CHROs, or people leaders. I asked the question of them, is attraction and retention going to get easier or harder or a lot harder? Almost all the leaders in the room said it was going to get a lot harder. And I agree. The demographic trends are quite clear. When I look out to the next 5 years, my estimate is that our open positions in Canada will rise from over 600,000 open positions today to a shortage of over 3 million workers in the next 5 or 6 years. And many of these shortages are in important sectors of our economy, like healthcare, daycares, transportation, energy, skilled trades, just to name a few. I believe talent attraction and retention will remain a top priority for leaders and their boards, regardless of sector or industry, for many years to come.
Derek, and how are employers tackling those challenges?
It really depends on the industry. So in many industry, competition is quite fierce, but margins are also thin. So employers are trying to find ways to offer more value to employees or increase the employee value proposition without increasing their costs or risks to the organizations. So employers are trying to find, for example, pension and benefit programs that appeal to 3 or 4 or even 5 different generations in the workforce, which is a challenge. We also see that employees rank financial well-being as their top priority, and employees feel much less secure about their financial future than their employers think. So there's a gap in understanding our expectations there. All these factors are why more organizations are turning to organizations like CAT. When I talk to leaders, the staying power of a good pension plan resonates on the human level, like wellness, but also on the business level, reducing costs. They know they need to do more to support their workforce, and their workforce expectations are increasing. We also know that everything becomes harder if you don't improve retention. Culture loss, performance headwinds, increased risks of burnout, and the cost of turnover goes up. So when you run the numbers, it's going to cost a lot more in the long run if retention tools aren't in place to keep the best talent of your organization. So we fit in quite nicely with employer goals. Our modern DB plan brings together the best of defined benefit and the best of defined contribution, fixed cost, so it provides the sense of security, real security that employees need at the low fixed cost that employers want and can afford.
And really helping with enterprise excellence is what I'm hearing. Derek,
Absolutely.
you've shared what you're seeing from the industry and what you're hearing from employers. And with the time that we have left today, I'd like to bring the focus back to employees, to our members. We got many questions. And one of the key themes that we're seeing is employers looking for more options to tailor their retirement. Derek, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, first of all, the needs of our members and employers are quite diverse. I'm seeing more and more requests, like you, Lilac, in your job, for additional innovation that brings more flexibility, but also more simplicity, both from the member view and the employer view. I can assure our members and employers that we are listening. We thrive on innovation. In 2023, for example, we had introduced additional flexibility into our DB Plus plan design, which allowed more organizations to offer a modern defined benefit plan to their employees. So this is going to help better address a diverse set of needs, and innovation is going to do that. So we really want to ensure we remain relevant to our existing members, our existing employers, but also be relevant to future members and future employers. So we're really committed to future innovations. And I encourage people to keep a lookout for future innovations because it always surprises them how quickly we're moving to help tailor to their needs.
So Derek, now you're touching on something that's near and dear to my heart. Innovation is my calling card, and it is literally in my business card. So in fact, that really aligns with our last theme of the day. And what I'd like to do now is I'd like to pull up a few questions that we received from members so you can help answer those. I'm just going to read out a couple here. Can I increase my pension by making additional contributions with personal funds? Can I transfer my personal RSP to CAT? Derek, I know you've been asked by stakeholders at meetings and events about a new product that's in the works. What can you share with us about what CAT's been working on?
Sure, I'm happy to. Now that we're in the final stages of implementation, it's much safer to share some of the key elements of our latest innovation that both members and employers have been asking for several years. Essentially, from my viewpoint, members wanted additional ways to save on top of the valuable modern DB pension that they're already earning with CAT. Almost half of our members want to grow or contribute additional retirement savings with a plan they already know and trust. And employers have told us they're looking to us, CAT, to help support their diverse set of employee needs by providing additional options to them as well. So by the end of 2024, just a few quarters away, members will have the option to participate in our new retirement savings add-on, what we're calling the Growth Plus Investment Account. The Growth Plus Investment Account is designed to provide our members with additional flexibility in retirement. The most important fact for today is this is voluntary. If a member chooses to participate, they will have the opportunity to transfer their existing personal tax-sheltered savings like RRSPs, and they'll get to earn CAT's net rate of return on a go-forward basis. We're very excited about how this will help members and employers, since we know members want more ways to save with us, and we know employers want to provide additional value-add services without attracting additional costs. Lilac, you've been leading this innovation since you started at CAT. I expect you're quite excited to see the conclusion of this project as well.
Derek, I couldn't possibly be more excited. Additional flexibility is something we are often hearing employees and employers are looking for. So what else can you tell us about Growth Plus? When is it launching? What does it mean for employers? What does it mean for employees?
Sure, happy to share a little bit more. So it's going to be launching before the end of the year. We're targeting in Q4, and this is going to be accessible to existing CAT pension plan members. And we're going to be sharing more information along the way as more details get rolled out and we get closer to the implementation date. But today, I'd like to share three things. Again, Growth Plus is voluntary for our members to participate in. That's the initial launch. Number two, employers do not need to contribute to this additional account. And number three, CAT's going to work directly with members to get them set up. We're going to work directly with members to transfer the funds into Growth Plus. So it's going to be a CAT to member type of initiative in the early phases of this project. So I'm going to again remind people, please keep a lookout for future information. The easiest way is probably to sign up for our newsletter to learn more. And Lilac, maybe you could share a little bit more about where they can find additional information.
Absolutely. If you'd like to receive more information, you can sign up at catpension.ca/innovation, or you can scan the QR code that's on your screen. So Derek, I'm hearing the plan is doing well. We continue to innovate. Lots to look forward to in 2024 and beyond. I want to thank you for joining us today and answering some of the questions that we got, and also for sharing your vision for the CAT pension plan, for our members, our employers, and for Canadians at large.
Well, thank you very much, Lilac. It's been a pleasure to do this with you. And before I sign off, I'd like to extend a large thank you to you, the audience, for spending time with us today. And I'd also like to acknowledge our hardworking team at CAT and our plan governors as well. As mentioned before, we are all aligned to making secure and valuable pensions a reality for you and for more Canadians. Thanks again.
Thank you, Derek. And for our audience, if you submitted a question and it was not answered, our team will be reaching out to you. So please watch for that email. We will have a recording of today's sessions on catpension.ca. I want to thank you all for joining our Pensions for Everyone conference. And I ask that you take 60 seconds to provide us with your feedback. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.